Step up and become a part of something truly extraordinary. Throughout history, there has always been a powerful and unwavering voice that rises against injustice. The NAACP has been at the forefront of this battle, challenging discriminatory laws and leading powerful protests. Now, in this pivotal moment, it is more important than ever to join forces with this community of changemakers who deeply understand the issues that matter to us all. The NAACP is ready to tackle a wide range of urgent concerns in a nonpartisan and collaborative manner, from social to political. Don't let this incredible opportunity slip through your fingers. Join us for a live podcast that will leave you enlightened and captivated as we engage in a thought-provoking discussion with the NAACP and our allies. Get ready for an experience that will not only inform and inspire, but empower you to make a meaningful difference in the world.
Tonight is going to be a fantastic evening. We will be discussing some important community issues. However, please keep in mind that the opinions shared may not represent the views of the entire National Association of the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP. We encourage you to spread this information to your friends and family and let them know we are ready for an engaging conversation. Please feel free to comment and share your opinions as we welcome your participation in the discussion.
Good evening and welcome to Community Voice Podcast, brought to you by the Jacksonville branch of the NAACP. I'm your host, Hank Rogers, the first vice president of the local branch. Today, joining me is Ms. Deborah Thompson, here to talk to us today about environmental justice and what environmental justice is and the committee that she currently serves on. Ms. Thompson, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so very much for having me.
So, Ms. Thompson, tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you a native here of Jacksonville? Tell us about your background.
Well, I want to think of myself as a native in Jacksonville because I've been here for so long, but no, I am not. I grew up in Mobile, Alabama, where we were very active in the NAACP, and then I went to school and we relocated to Rochester, Minnesota, and I went to the University of Minnesota, and there I became involved with the NAACP and was their Youth and College Division program director for several years.
How long have you been a part of the NAACP?
Almost all my life.
All your life?
Yes.
And you're the immediate first vice president of the local branch here in Jacksonville.
Local branch, and been very active here in Jacksonville in various committees and just in various activities and initiatives of the Jacksonville community.
So let's get to the topic today. You're now chairing the Environmental Justice Committee of the local branch of the NAACP. Tell us a little bit about what is environmental justice and why is it important?
The mission of the Environmental Justice Committee for the NAACP is to advance in the leadership in our communities so that they will be at the forefront of understanding what environmental and climate justice means in our community. In our communities, we want to ignite an environmental, social, and economic revolution in and around the goals of reducing harmful emissions in our atmosphere, greenhouse gases, advance energy efficiency, and strengthen our community's resiliency.
So on the national level, how is that being filtered down?
That is on the national level through the NAACP, and the President's administration has taken this up as well. And there are several departments that have been asked through Justice 40 to make sure that the initiatives of environmental and climate justice is a national event.
So tell us a little bit, why is this an important topic for our viewers to get involved in?
Well, I think they need to get involved at the local, state, and national level simply because it is a national as well as an international problem. It is a situation where our environment is becoming more and more polluted with gases that are harmful, not only to humans, but to our whole ecosystem, our animals, our plants, our things that we eat, things that we breathe, and things that we drink.
So recently you served on the mayor's transition team on one of the committees with the Resilience Committee. Tell us a little bit about the Resilience Committee, what they do, and some of the recommendations that they put forth.
Well, I was not on her transition team. But I was appointed along with Ashante Green, who is the co-chair of our Environmental and Climate Justice Committee, to work on resiliency.
Okay.
And into resiliency, we made sure that environmental and climate justice was one of the initiatives that would be taken up in that committee. So as the recommendations came through, we worked very closely with the Sierra Club and the University of North Florida with some of its data and statistical information, as well as other local nonprofits, to talk about reducing greenhouse gases and talking to the local utilities about the pollution problem as we saw it and how harmful it can be to our humans.
So we have a resiliency officer here in the city of Jacksonville currently.
Yes, we do, and just proud to say that I worked very closely, and Ashante Green informed me the other day that she has been appointed to fill one of those positions, and I will be working with her this afternoon to make a presentation over at the Jacksonville University School of Business.
Wow.
So we're very active in our community. The state Environmental and Climate Justice Committee had us on a couple of weeks ago, all of the areas and the branches around the state of Florida, to talk about what we were doing. And they were very pleased with what we're doing here in Jacksonville and how important it is for us as an NAACP branch to make sure that the citizens and the residents of Jacksonville, Florida, are informed and educated on what these harmful effects can be and what kind of things they can do to help us improve that condition.
And how can we improve?
We can
What are some of the
improve-
recommendations?
Some of the recommendations are we've worked with Greenscape on a tree planting program
Okay.
that is offered by the city of Jacksonville.
Is that
And
a
what
free
we-
program?
It's a free program, and what we're trying to do is identify public land. We would like some private, but mostly public land in Duval County, school sites, where there has been a removal of the trees when they built the schools or renovated the schools. We want to go back in so that we can put a shade area there in some of the spots. We did a tree planting over at the Darnell Cookman School a couple of weekends ago, and just very proud that 12 local Omega Psi Phi members and their families came out to help the families in that neighborhood, as well as the students in and around that school and the neighborhood. We had 12 individuals to come out and help us plant the trees. So we planted 100 trees very quickly. Even a sitting judge was a part of us.
Wow. Wow.
Mr. Lester Bass, the Honorable Lester Bass came, and he was working very hard to help us. So we wanted it to know it's a community event. So it's not just underserved communities that are being affected. Everybody feels what's happening.
Absolutely.
Everybody feels what's happening.
Absolutely. So if someone viewing our broadcast tonight wanted to get involved in that initiative, how would they do it?
The first thing they need to do is join the NAACP.
Okay.
Join our effort. Go to our website, join. Become a part of what we do. Pick a committee, and we would like for you to pick the Environmental and Climate Justice Committee, because that committee is one that is not as well known. People don't understand.
It's not
it.
sexy. It's not one of
It's
those.
right. It's not going to jump out at you, but it will affect your health. It will affect the way you live, and it may affect the way you die. So we need to make sure that that is a very important subject, and that we can talk about how and what kinds of things to do today, tomorrow, and forever to help improve our environment. Talking to our utilities about helping to lower the greenhouse gases. Talk about alternative fuels. Talk about electric vehicles and what that might do, even though we have a controversy in and around that. We just need to talk about these things so that we can come up with reasonable, scientific, and social events that help us reduce the burden that we're putting on the air that we breathe, the water we drink, and the life that we live.
I know some of our viewers may be wondering, how do we get our young people involved in these type of initiatives at an early
we've been
age?
also talking about going into the schools. We have
Okay.
a youth and college division. We are available to come and speak to those young people.
Well,
And I have no problem with going into the school systems and making a presentation about what we're doing. We can put brochures out there, brochures in the churches. Have it be a conversational piece at in our families, in our social lives, in our religious lives, as well as our educational institutions at all levels.
Wow. So this affects all sides of town, all communities, regardless of race, regardless of color.
It does, but in our community, and when I say our, I mean underserved communities, and those are the communities that we are most concerned about.
Okay.
Those communities are traditionally left out of any type of remediation process. So we want to bring them and heighten their awareness so that they speak out. They come to town hall meetings. They tell the mayor, they tell their city council person, they tell the NAACP members that they too want to know and understand what the situation is in and around environment and climate. They want to be a part of the conversation and want to be a part of the solution. Because if we get involved and get our people involved in the solution, then some of our underserved communities and unserved communities won't have the problems exacerbated as much as they are in those areas.
And I know recently you had the opportunity to participate on the national level with, I guess, the Brain Trust, if you will.
Well, the Congressional Black
Okay.
Caucus.
Talk to us a little bit about that.
The Congressional Black Caucus is the legislative conference of our Black Congress. And each year, the second or third week in September, they spend a whole week talking about legislation that goes in and around things that affect their districts, their states, and our nation. So one of the main topics this year at the Congressional Black Caucus was environment and climate justice. And the most memorable one was the mayor and the governor of Maryland, and in and around Washington, D.C., and how involved those NAACPs as well as nonprofits are getting involved and being sensitive in when they're doing developments and when they're doing improvements to the neighborhood, or when they're doing new construction and tearing down trees in our forests, how that affects the whole ecosystem that we have in our...
And we've seen a lot of new development here in Jacksonville, and so we've seen a lot of trees go down.
Yes.
And so it would be incumbent upon us to assist in that effort and ensure that they
It would
replace
be,
those.
But the other problem is that sometimes the things that we're trying to improve cause us a situation on another end. Because with our insurance situation here, with our homeowners and some property owners that are business commercial, trees cause a risk. So insurance goes up because if a tree should fall or limb should fall on a property, that makes it a risky kind of investment for an insurance company. So we got to work on all levels. That's why it's good to have people at all levels, judges, lawyers, as well as community people, teachers, instructors, principals, religious communities. Get involved with this environmental and climate justice, because what we think is a good thing on one end turns out to be not such a good idea on another end. So we need to just understand the total issue and address it and come up with recommendations that can satisfy to the best extent what is happening in our environment.
So if someone wanted to get involved, they're hearing us tonight talk about this very important topic, even though, as you probably know, it's not a sexy topic that everybody's running to. How would they get in contact with you to say, hey, Ms. Thompson, I really want to get involved in this. I really want to be a part of what you're doing and what the Jacksonville branch NAACP is doing with the Environmental Justice Committee.
Again, I would say that we should have them come to our regular membership meetings.
And we meet the second Thursday of every month.
Of every month.
At 6 p.m.
At 6 p.m.
Via Zoom. No excuse.
No excuse.
Perfect.
You have no excuse.
Good.
And we're going to be moving back into an in-person kind of a thing. The office for our NAACP local branch is open. They have hours that they're in there certain days. So we just need to get that schedule out.
Okay.
Anyone can go to the website. They can go to join as a member, and they can choose a committee that they are interested in. And we suggest that you join the Environmental and Climate Justice, because we meet the third and fourth Thursday of every month. And we meet on Zoom, and we talk about the issues that are coming up in our city, issues that have a global impact as well as a local impact, so that individuals that are our citizens and our residents can get involved and see what they're doing. My telephone number is 904-472-7528. You can call me anytime. I have an erratic sleep pattern, so you can call me anytime. If I'm not available, I will get back to you. You can go on our website. You can call our office and leave a message. We do have a system in that office where someone will get the message to the right committee. So we are putting some policies and procedures in place so that anyone who has any questions that relates to any committee, they can leave a message, they can talk to someone in the office on certain days, they can set up an appointment, and they can talk to us. They can go to our website and see when we meet, when the committees meet, and who the chairperson is of each of those committees. So I invite the community to get involved with the Jacksonville branch of the NAACP right here in your local community.
That is awesome. So tell us what attracted you to the Environmental Justice Committee. You have served on many committees, and so now you have taken on this role and this task. What attracted you to the committee?
Well, I enjoy energy efficiency, and worked with that with a previous job at the Jacksonville Urban League. When we actually, some years ago, when Bob Graham was governor, we actually had an energy action committee throughout the state of Florida, and I was one of the representatives. And we were able to get with a commercial operator that was doing solar at that time, and we installed 5 hot water heaters that were energy efficient into some low and moderate income family homes right here in Jacksonville. So that kept me. We did energy efficiency. I've done energy efficiency workshops over the years in my housing, transportation, and construction activities. As a business person, I'm a consultant. I work with small businesses, and a lot of times we have the effects of the environment and the climate changes. And there are some funds for solar if you should own your building, or try to encourage where you have a tenancy to install cleaner, efficient, more energy efficient appliances, heating and air conditioning units, using clean air filters, doing things that help us clean up our environment or lower the rate of how these gases are infiltrating our
One of the things that
environment.
we're seeing a lot in our communities is solar panels, right, being installed and different advertisement. Right. Can you talk a little bit about that, and is that something that we should be?
You should take the time, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you should take the time to investigate that, because the state of Florida does have funds.
Okay.
The federal government has funds. So if you're in certain zip codes in Jacksonville, you can get a rebate, or you can get assistance with the down payment for the solar. And according to some of the standards, that solar paneling installed on your roof and you're using that lowers your electric bill to a point where you can be very efficient and still get the same effect without harming the environment.
How about clean water access?
I've also been involved with the Riverkeeper, and we've been up and down the river touring to look and see how beautiful that is. I also sat on a special committee that studied the tributaries with the Environmental Protection Agency for the city of Jacksonville. So I'd like to say that Jacksonville has kind of been on the forefront, and I just kind of stick my nose wherever I can. And how I get into these very technical places, I'm not sure. But I also had the opportunity to work with an engineering firm that had been assigned to actually remediate some of the contaminated soils in Jacksonville. So I did that over on the north side in and around I can't think of the Ribault River area, going up around Washington Heights into that area, where we actually went in and dug up the soil down to whatever level was the recommended depth at that time by the EPA and the Department of Environmental Protection for the state of Florida.
And that was the ground.
Ground remediation.
Yes.
And
so
they're
at
still
all those-
doing some of that in certain areas, but I'm trying to think of what year that was. It was a very strong push
It was.
to actually get that. We had town hall meetings. We met all over the city. I worked with Operation New Ground, Project New Ground with that, where at that time I was with the African American Chamber of Commerce, and we were to alert the business people in some of these contaminated areas that the properties were going to be remediated and it may interrupt your business traffic flow. So we had to go in and make sure that they were not harmed by that remediation, because sometimes it would take 2 or 3 weeks and to dig up the
And we
area.
had many homes built on those.
Had a lot of homes built on that, and they have certain areas that they have mapped out, and that's another thing that people need to know and understand.
And the
That
NAACP
mapping-
was on the front lines here in
That's
in
right.
making sure that
Making
was taken
sure
care
that
of.
people, number one, understood that that was a problem. And number two, that they got the information out to the community at the community level. Those neighborhood businesses would be alerted, as well as neighborhood churches and other community activities that go on in our neighborhoods.
Perfect. So while we have you here, I don't want to miss the opportunity while we have you here
Yes.
to kind of talk about broadband as well and the work that you're doing with broadband. So can you kind of share that
Share a
work a little bit?
Thank
as
you
well?
so much. Well, I had the opportunity again. I worked with the National Association of Black Women in Construction, and we took on an issue several months ago to look at what types of agencies were going to be affected by what they call Justice 40, which is an executive order under the Biden administration to look at anything that affects a community, look at any remediation process to make sure that 40% of any of those activities, 40% of any of the contracts, 40% of any of them goes into underserved and unserved neighborhoods that affect low and moderate income people. So one of the things was the broadband. And because Jacksonville is an entitlement city and it is so highly populated that it did not fall into underserved, because they wanted to started first in the rural areas. So they started first with the rural areas, but we found that there were pockets of areas in Jacksonville that were also affected, especially during COVID, when children were out of school, individuals were not going to work every day, and the health situation was exacerbated, and people could not get back and forth to health care. Broadband is high-speed internet, and most of our low and moderate income neighborhoods, underserved, not unserved, in our community, don't have broadband. So children were trying to stay on the campuses of the public school system to access the internet. Individuals were trying to go into public spaces to access the internet because their home environment did not have high-speed internet at the level to communicate with telehealth, educational institutions, especially in our Duval County Public School System, and other services through the health department, Social Security, and those kinds of things, which are crucial to our environment. So we wanted to make sure that that happened. So what we were able to do with several of us showing up at some of these public hearings that were going on around in the community that very few people showed up to, was to ask them to go back and look at the maps as they had been presented and look at some of these pockets that we identified. So what they did was they put out a survey.
Okay.
And again, the survey was out to, again, you had to have high-speed internet. So we still did not get our underrepresented areas represented. So they extended the deadline. They stopped it in September, but they extended it. With our efforts from the NAACP and a couple of the other nonprofits, we were able to get the state of Florida to extend the date until October the 18th to give some of our people who did not know about it. So we announced it at every one of our meetings, the executive committee as well as the general meeting. And we tried to inform the community, get to someplace to take that survey so that we could have that issue show up on these maps that they were drawing to actually put more. So now you'll hear some activities about there's more access to the high-speed internet at a lower rate. And what we have to do now is just be diligent and keep up with that so that it does not, again, raise to a level once that period is over where some of our small, low and moderate income people still can't reach the cost of it because we don't want to take it away.
Is there anything right now as a community we need to be aware of?
We need to be aware that there is a local planning committee
Okay.
for broadband. And we have I don't have that information with me, but I can get the information of the young lady who is working on it here because she actually called me on the 18th to say, Ms. Thompson, did you get anyone that filled out? Because we had put together a manual survey so that those people who could not get on the internet or could not do the survey, that they could do it manually. So hopefully those people took advantage and that they did send that information back through the portals so that we can get some of these pockets of underserved broadband,
And that's,
at least
that's
on the map.
federal and state money.
Federal
that's
and
coming down
state
to the
money that's
city.
coming along with some of the internet providers themselves.
Good information to share with our viewers tonight.
So I am their local representative for the NAACP. And we're trying to just get more representation and more people coming to those meetings. So go online to the City of Jacksonville again. Our new mayor is very involved with resiliency, environment and climate control, the broadband situation, and she has done various town hall meetings in some of our low and moderate income neighborhoods and underserved communities to just make sure that she's getting her voice out and hearing what the concerns are of the community.
Any other concerns that we need to be aware of?
That the NAACP will have its Freedom Fund luncheon on November the 1st, and we invite the total community to come. The tickets are $75, the tables are $7.50, and we encourage everyone in our community to take a table.
Okay.
We have a beautiful speaker who is from Jacksonville, and I had the opportunity, again, while I was at the Congressional Black Caucus in September, to hear her make a presentation about the activity that she's going to be talking about at our meeting. So I'm not going to tell you, but she's with Amazon, and they have a Black Business Accelerator program that you all want to hear about. So do join us on November the 1st.
Well, Ms. Thompson, thank you so much for being here. And again, just as you heard Ms. Thompson say, we will see you on Wednesday, November 1st at 12 o'clock at the Hyatt for our 58th annual Freedom Fund luncheon. Until next time, thank you for joining us.
Our Freedom Fund is a critical component of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. It was established in 1944 as a financial resource to support the organization's mission of fighting for racial justice and equality. The fund was initially created to help cover the legal expenses of numerous landmark civil rights cases, including the groundbreaking Brown v. Board of Education Supreme Court case in 1954, which led to the desegregation of public schools in the United States. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored Peoples legal defense efforts were instrumental in challenging racial discrimination and segregation laws across various sectors. Over the years, the Freedom Fund has played a significant role in financing other pivotal civil rights initiatives, such as voter registration drives, community organizing, educational programs, and advocacy campaigns. It has provided financial support to individuals facing racial injustice, enabling them to access legal representation and fight for their rights in court. In essence, the Freedom Fund has been an essential tool for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People to combat systemic racism and promote social change. It continues to be a vital resource in the ongoing struggle for racial equality and justice in the United States. The Jacksonville branch of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People will be having its Freedom Fund event, and we're asking the community to come out and support. If you haven't gotten your ticket yet, make sure to secure one and encourage others to attend. Supporting events like these helps provide the necessary resources for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People to continue their vital work in combating systemic racism and promoting social change.
Tonight has been quite an interesting evening. We've discussed several important issues that concern our community in Jacksonville. We ask that you consider all the information we've shared as a perspective provided by commentators. No one has all the answers, but our goal is to dig deeper and find solutions. We invited the community to share their own views by emailing or calling us. We would love to hear from you. Have a fantastic night, and we hope to see you again next week. Please note that the information presented here represents the viewpoint of the guests and commentators and may not necessarily reflect the perspective of the local branch of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
Welcome to the Inspired Network mobile app. To get started, simply on your iPhone or iPad, open the App Store app. Then, touch the magnifying glass labeled Search Type, the Inspired Network in the search bar, and hit Return. Look for the app and tap the Get button to download it for free. Once the download is complete, open the app by double-clicking the side button. You can also tap the Open button after installation. To access the app in the future, simply tap the app's icon on your home screen and find the app's icon. Join us now on the Inspired Network and unlock a world of inspiration.
Are you in search of a sanctuary for your precious little ones? Look no further. At Harvest Time Christian Academy, we offer the ideal haven. Our passionate team, comprised of both devoted educators and compassionate caregivers, is well-versed in both biblical teachings and academic excellence. From the tiniest cherubs to curious toddlers, we are here to deeply enrich your child's life. Reach out to us today for further details. Rest assured, we provide flexible pricing options and a daycare experience that is imbued with nothing but warmth and affection. Together, let's create a nurturing environment for your little miracles to thrive.
Let the church say amen. K-Good Productions presents Gospel Fest 2023, featuring the Mighty Clouds of Joy. Saturday, November 18th at the Paxson Revival Center. See the Canton Spirituals. And the Swanee Quintet. Gospel Fest 2023, November 18th, 5 p.m. at the Paxson Revival Center, 5461 Commonwealth Avenue in Jacksonville. Tickets available at Eventbrite. For info, 904-813-0085.
Hello, Queen. You know, someone once said life is 10% what happens to you and 90% of how you respond to it. Have you had some issues that you just maybe needed to discuss, or some things that you would want to share with someone but didn't have a place or a platform? The green room, the green room, the green room. The green room is that place where women come to share their ideas, their do's, their don'ts, their always, their nevers, their lessons learned. I'm inviting you to tune in every week to the green room. It's our place. The truth of the matter is, we all have greatness inside of us. You just need a little help to bring it out. It's me, Michelle G. Meet me in the green room.
Are you ready to kickstart your own online show? Have you always dreamed of broadcasting to the world on Facebook? Well, Inspired Television Networks has an exciting offer just for podcasters like you. Imagine having your show recorded in our state-of-the-art studios and broadcasted to over 50 million homes worldwide. And the best part? It's available at an unbelievably low price of just $350. This is truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So, join the revolution and become a part of our network today. Don't wait. Give us a call now because we're actively seeking new programs.
They know how bad it can be out here, and they do nothing about it. They said they had cameras, but they never worked. They never said you wouldn't feel safe in your own apartment. If you or a loved one were assaulted at your apartment or a business, call the Daniels Law Firm at 904-432-1219. That's 904-432-1219.